What keeps me happy anytime I think about ALC is just that desire to excel, the desire to make a change.
We feel there's a lot of talent amongst this generation of Africans.
The importance of locating ALC in Africa is really, it's Africa.
We have seen the plethora of armed conflicts that have been unleashed on the continent of Africa. We know that for the future of the continent, we need to prevent those conflicts.
I think when Africa is rid of corruption, then the continent can develop in a much better way.
Unfortunately, a majority of African leaders seem not to appreciate the enormity of trust that is bestowed on them by their citizens.
God willing, I will be back.
Leaders should be more accountable to the people, should be rendering selfless service. We're not getting much of that.
Impunity is a huge problem for leadership in Africa. I think we have really failed to insist on standards of accountability.
Haven't seen a lot of leaders that have championed the cause of their populations.
The ALC seeks to plug the leadership gap. It will nurture the leaders of the future, skilled in delivering peace and security, both essential for development.
Millions of young Africans are really yearning to make something happen for themselves, for their communities and for their countries. We can tap into the talent to really create a knowledge base and a community of young people who think differently about the continent and the kind of change they want to make happen on that continent.
That is different across the world. We may have very many problems in Africa, but they are not insurmountable. And the solution is not coming from outside. The solution is coming from us. It's coming from them. It's coming from me.
Encouraging women to step up to the leadership table is one of the main objectives of the African Leadership Center.
Achieving that is not going to be easy because of the patriarchal nature of Africa. There are certain values and norms which have been in place in Africa for 1 billion years, which are not just going to wither away overnight. Part of the thing we want to do at the ALC, African Leadership Center, is to be able to expose our fellows, especially women fellows, to all these values and to be able to arm them with the knowledge of being able to challenge some of those values.
They can come in, having done amazing work trying to reconcile families, communities at the base, provide services at the base, influence peace processes at the base, but no exposure at all to really the arena where decisions get made.
I want to be a true reflection of the grassroots of women, making sure that policies and laws are shaped according to the true needs of women.
I think it is vitally important that we broaden leadership and bring on board women, bring on board young voices.
What can Sierra Leonean women do to strengthen peace in the country after over a decade of war? What about South African women and the fight against HIV/AIDS? These issues are what the peace and security training is all about.
Putting theory into practice is fundamental to the aims of the center. The role of mentors is pivotal to achieving this goal.
We made a decision to also move into the area of...
Some of our mentors have worked in the African Union, in the United Nations. They're policy practitioners in different ways, not just academics, and they share their experiences with the fellows.
The African Leadership Center is based in Nairobi, Kenya.
I like to say that the African Leadership Center was made in London, but it's coming home to Africa.
And most of African women and maybe men as well, they could not afford the kind of training that comes with it because of travel, but now it's going to be here in Africa. It means everyone can access it.
This year, the centre will open its doors to 20 new fellows, and it plans to expand its intake to 50 young people every year.
When you look at the multiplier effect of what that will be, if let's say you produce 30, 40 in a single year, over 5-10 years, then you have an enormous wealth of experience in that field, and through that then you can begin to shape the destiny of the continent in peace and security.
By the time they're finished, they really do have everything they need. To be practical, not just at the community level, but at the highest levels of policy making.
I'm very excited to be a young African at this time when I have opportunities to contribute to African people finding their own solutions.
I will be able to react from an expert point of view. I think that for me is really great.
I would see myself being engaged, thinking through issues that affect the region, but in a holistic way that looks at communities as well. If we've started making strides towards that, that would be fantastic.
We have barely scratched the surface. I think that really excites me about the center, that we can create a whole community of people who share common values, but who have different ideas that can maybe make magic for the continent of Africa. This is very exciting about the center, I think.